So I made a video about, sorry about that. So I made a video about Shedeur Sanders and wanted to follow up because the video I made, I've had a little bit of more time to sit with what we're seeing, and I wanted to say I believe that what he's doing is an example of his ego, and sometimes your ego won't allow you to think you're in trouble or won't allow you to get on somebody else's page. Your ego always keeps things on your terms, and I believe that what he's doing is always behaving in a way that makes him feel comfortable, as opposed to understanding the grand scheme of media and being a part of another company's organization, especially when you come in as your own brand. Shedeur Sanders is almost like a new generation getting into the NFL. That's what he feels like. So in some ways, I wanted to say that I believe that his pantomiming is almost like his ego, because while he was pantomiming, I was looking, and it looked like I can kind of read his lips, and he wasn't saying anything that looked so bad. I think the first time he said something like, I don't know what to say. I can't talk right now. I don't know what to say, or something like that. And then when they asked him about Joe Flacco, he was like, Flacco's my guy. I could read that or whatever. It was the other stuff I couldn't really pick up on. But it has to be your ego that will make you try to go tat for tat with somebody. That's very childlike behavior from someone that you're expecting to be a full-on representative of your company, this brand, the logo, the NFL. There are only 32 teams, so that's another dangerous approach. That's another example of the dangerous approach Shedeur had to the NFL draft. There being only 32 teams, and then only so many of them need a quarterback. So if you're going to talk to the ones that don't need a quarterback, you're talking to them to potentially be their backup. So you need to be talking to the ones that need a quarterback, and you need to be in alignment with the structure of their company. Like if I go work for Delta Airlines, they're going to have different rules. They don't have a union, but if I work for, say, JetBlue, they have a union, and they're going to be ran completely different. Delta Airlines and them, they could just fire me after 8 months, and then it's of nothing to them. Whereas at the other airline, they can't really just do these things, and there's going to be an investigation and a whole process, and you got to get with the program of being with the union versus not being with the union. If I'm with the union, I got to pay a fee. I got to pay a monthly fee, or every single one of my checks or something like that. I believe his ego is keeping him from, this is going to be, I think this is, I'm not saying this to be a hot take. I'm saying this, though, because I think about things within the moment, but what they mean for the future, because you get signed to a deal, And so I look at this and I say, I don't see him being in the NFL for more than 2 to 3 years right now. I'm going to try to think about this as hard as I possibly can, as creatively as I can, as open as I can in this moment too. But I say that to say, I believe when he was acting like that, he doesn't believe he should be in the NFL anymore. So he has an opportunity right now, from a psychotic approach, to crash out and to keep the narrative on that the NFL ruined his NFL career. And that will allow him to be this martyr, so to speak. And it will allow for those prime sexuals that are out there that are treating Shedeur and Dion like they are a religion. They are going to jump onto that narrative, and passionately at that. And he'll be able to go out and always say, we all know what it is. We all know that this shouldn't have happened, but tomorrow will be a day legendary. We'll all be able to just go out and say that, especially just look how many people are on television. These prominent hosts and announcers and analysts, talking heads, that are going to defend him without looking at details of the process, that they know how that stuff goes. Some of them, Skip Bayless, I think, is off his rocks. And he gotta be, when you hear stuff like, him offering that woman $1 million to try to mess with her or sleep with him, I guess just to compete with Shannon Sharp or whatever. This guy gotta be on some dumb shit, just life doesn't matter, so I'm just throwing this money around for some pointless pussy. Ridiculous, bro. P squared. But when I hear guys like that talk, and he's like, yeah, I believe Shedeur Sanders would have been in Tennessee doing a lot better than Cam Ward. Those are fighting words, bro. Those are fighting words. Those are words where it's like somebody should slap this man. But we're all allowed speech, and we're all allowed a platform. Thank you. That's awesome. That's great. I appreciate being able to say what I want to say too. I'm just getting warmed up in this motherfucker. But I just find that to be so ridiculous. I think he's going to crash out, and he's going to use this opportunity to do so. I don't think he wants to compete with Dylan. I don't think Shedeur Sanders likes competition. I think he likes things on his playing field. I think he tries to slow other people down to his speed. I honestly think he's a little slow. I honestly think he hasn't arrested development. I honestly think there's something else that's going on there where he's still somewhat moving like a baby, physically, mentally, and it's just, there's a veil of drip that keeps you from seeing it. A veil of drippage. I think it's stupid. And this is the most masculine game in all our country. This is the most masculine game. And he is almost the most feminine performer. And he wants his chance at playing this game in his feminine ways, his soft ways, and has so many people speaking up for him that it's ridiculous that people try to go and turn it into like, you racist, or you just a hater. But it's like, I root for Cam Ward. I root for another black quarterback. So I'm not hating on quarterbacks. I'm not hating on fame. Cam Ward is famous too. I'm not hating on anything like that. I'm looking at behavior. There are rules to behavior. That's a part of our natural code of how we live and how we move. And this young man is off. He's off. To do that in a press conference, maybe somebody's going to sit here and say, I'm making the most of it. But everybody just saw it, and everybody is talking about it. And if everybody is talking about it, they're hearing about it from somewhere. That echo doesn't just happen on TV. It's happening in real life somewhere, and that's why it echoes on television, and then all of a sudden becomes something that's on every network and every podcast and newspaper and article, because it's being talked about to them. So before the TV people even talk about it, coaches, agents, other coaches, scouts, owners, they're all talking about it, and they're texting each other, and it's getting to the people at these networks or online, and now it becomes something that everybody has to talk about. I believe that he got beat up so bad in that game versus the Los Angeles Rams, and I believe that he gets to use those clips from him playing against the Panthers in the preseason, that he has enough content for people to say, man, he was going to kill it. He's got enough. When he was getting beat up by the Rams, nobody wanted to accept the fact that some of that is on him. Some of that is on him. Like, people are saying he's in there with the third string. Everybody, prime sexual, is always ready to make an excuse for him, but he's not. It's not about him being in there with the third string. It's about him learning how to operate the offense with who's on the field in general and moving the ball down the field. People are saying that, Dylan Gabriel got to play with the first string, and what about when Dylan Gabriel threw that interception? Shedeur Sanders got to play against the Carolina Panthers. They are one of the worst teams in the NFL right now. They are 1-3, if I'm not mistaken, and that's who Shedeur Sanders got to play against. Dylan Gabriel, when he played in that game, he got to play against the Philadelphia Eagles. Oh, they just won the Super Bowl last season, and they're currently undefeated. Even their backups have to be good on that team, because you have to have a team to test your main team. That's who he played against first. And then they both played against the Los Angeles Rams. And I don't care what team, whether it's first team, second team, third team, the Rams are going to have the same spirit of Sean McVay. It's going to be a hard-nosed game. And you can see it was a hard-nosed game just the way that he was getting rushed. And he couldn't get away from the rush because he likes to hold on to the ball. I'm working on another video, and I'm going to be breaking down the footage from when the Colorado Buffaloes played against the BYU Cougars last year in the Alamo Bowl. I am breaking it down because I want people to see the type of quarterback Shedeur Sanders really is. Stats mask everything. And so to get stats, you hold on to the ball instead of making decisions that are better for the team, like throwing it away. And that's the difference between being 74%, having 74% completion percentage versus having 62 and then being in the middle of the pack with everybody else. That's the difference. You see the difference gets made up for in sacks, yards lost in sacks, down in distance. In that BYU game, they had a chance to go down the field and score and make it 10-7 before the game really got away from them. They were down there on the 7-yard line, and Shedeur Sanders lost 23 yards on a sack, and that was 3rd and 1. 23 yards on a sack. Could have got rid of the ball easy, right away, boom. Held on to it because he's looking down the field. He does get nervous. It's inside your body. It's much harder to just do. He likes to hold on to the ball for as long as he can. 5 seconds. He wants 5 seconds. In the NFL, you're allowed to have 3. He wants 5. And he has plays in college where he's got the ball for 9 seconds. And it's like, that's why your line gives up sacks sometimes. And we can get into a lot. I really just made this video to say, I see something else. You know, Deion Sanders put out a tweet saying, that's how you get him, son, or something ridiculous, you know, to what Shedeur did. I think they are creating his crash out so that they have a reason as to why his career didn't work in the NFL, because he doesn't need it. He doesn't need it. He's a silver spoon kid, and maybe there's one team. There's going to have to only be one. It could only be one team. If Tom Brady doesn't try to get him, bro, you know this is something else. This is something on another level. If Tom Brady and them doesn't try to get him because he trains with them, he says that's his idol, he's got a relationship with his dad, why can't you just give the kid a chance? Just give him a chance. You let him succeed or fail. But maybe you don't want to give him a chance because you know that this kid wants to run the franchise. This kid wants to be the owner of the franchise. That's how he's going to behave. That's why people don't want to rock with him. That's why people are afraid of him. Afraid of bringing him into the company. With Jackson Dart, you got a guy that's standing there on the podium that's willing to say how appreciative he is of Russell, how appreciative he is of Jameis, how appreciative he is of Dayball. That goes a long way. You build so much good credit in the building with these guys, and they all just feed. But he never needed that. He only had his dad feeding him. He never needed that. He's literally just been playing a game. It's just been him and his dad, and everybody else, we're playing the background roles in this shit. The people who are playing against him, they're the background roles to the movie. The producers and the writers of this shit, that's Deion Sanders and Shedeur Sanders. They're the executive producers of this shit. That's how much it's only been them two. Shedeur legit needs to be able to be coached by somebody else. And he needs to have somebody else sometimes talk to him the way Bo Nix and Sean Payton talk to each other. The way Bo Nix and Sean Payton speak to each other sometimes, I feel like that's the type of coach Shedeur Sanders might really need. But that shit would throw him off. You can't be yelling at me in front of everybody else, man. I'm the coolest motherfucker in here, man. Legendary. Something's missing, and I genuinely believe he saw in that game versus the Rams that he doesn't need to be in this league. It's dangerous, and he's not really going to be able to keep up. And he's going to crash out. Nobody's going to pick him up, and he's going to be done in 2 to 3 years, unless Tom Brady gives him a chance. I don't know who else. The Jets could use a quarterback right now, but I think they'll just struggle through with Justin Fields because at the end of the day, they know they'll get a top pick. So why even bring Shedeur in and his media circus? We got our own media circus. The Las Vegas Raiders, they don't need him to be a media circus right now and creating a false sense of hope. They don't even have offensive weapons. They don't got no real number 1 wide receiver. I don't know that they got a real number 2 wide receiver. They need so many pieces. He would be annihilated over there. Annihilated. He wouldn't be able to survive it. He'll just be over there holding on to the ball so much, getting sacked 10 times a game, and then everybody would just start blaming the Las Vegas Raiders O-line. Why I say the best place for him is the bench, and he should play behind Matt Stafford. The only other person I would say would be Jared Goff, but he doesn't want to be a backup. But that would be his best opportunity, is to be a backup. I think Shedeur Sanders could have a career like Aaron Rodgers if he accepts being a backup first. He needs to develop mentally and physically. He's got to shake that scary shit off. It's on him. Can't hide. If you really watch the tape, you'll see it. A lot of people are watching his stats and they're watching his highlights. Highlights look so good, but that's why they're called highlights. They're just there to get you high off this person. But you got to watch the full 60 minutes and you will see a lot of lowlights. Moments where it wasn't nothing but just being sober. Sober ball ain't the same as high ball. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying. But I just wanted to talk about the crash out. I think we're seeing something here that's going to be getting addressed a bit more in the next couple of days, and everybody's going to continue on with their opinions. I'm going to go take my opinion a step further and just say what I see. I see this being a crash out of a gigantic proportion, like a reason why you're benched. We're going to create more of a reason why you're benched. We're going to create that. We're going to create more of a reason why you're benched. It's sad. It's sad. If you got to this part of the video, I really appreciate you rocking with me. Would really appreciate it if you decided to subscribe. Let me know you made it all the way to the end too. That would be really dope. Because I don't want to be here alone. Damn. You feel me?